Hey, what's going on? It's Jordan from Just Tesla, and we're back with another video. The reason I thought I'd do this journey is and film it is because I thought it'd be a good one to film because we go over Spaghetti Junction on the way to Birmingham, which is a notorious junction to drive. Anyone who lives in the UK has probably heard of Spaghetti Junction, and it's pretty crazy. It looks something like this. It's pretty wild and messy. Anyone from the United States is probably thinking, what the hell is that? But yeah, I thought, you know what? I'll take the car out and I'll do autopilot over Spaghetti Junction. What's the worst that could happen? Do you think it'll make it, or do you think I'll end up piled on the side of the road somewhere? Obviously that didn't happen, but yeah. What do you think will happen? Do you think it'll make it round? So I had to use the key card just because I didn't have my phone on Bluetooth. I think I was having some problems with my phone on Bluetooth. This is my third real use of autopilot. You can tell straight away I'm definitely more confident and more used to this system. I'm making this journey with my brother just in case you was wondering who that is, who looks like a used car salesman in the bottom corner. So for these kinds of roads, this is where I'm feeling really confident. This is a 40-mile-per-hour road. We've got really clear lane markings. Obviously I had to come to a stop here. There wasn't a car in front, so I had to take over on that. So it'll be great to get full self-driving when it starts recognizing traffic lights. At the moment, it'll only come to a stop if there's a vehicle in front of you, which is always a nice little bonus when you don't have to do it. And also I've got a GoPro in my mouth, so it makes for a really awkward journey as conversation's quite difficult with a camera in your gob. So back into autopilot here. I'm definitely getting a lot more confident with it. So I was positioning my hands and my feet. I wanted to just show you that I wasn't touching and the car was doing it all itself. Obviously, you guys who are aware and know about Teslas, you know that you're not, if I'm holding the wheel, I'm not doing any steering. But I just thought it'd be interesting to keep my hands like that. You do need to keep your hands on the wheel. Slight pressure on the wheel means that it won't constantly ask you to, if you can see in the bottom left corner, every so often it pops up with, please touch the wheel. So if you just keep your hands resting on there, I need to move the steering wheel down a little bit so I can just relax and rest my hands. It takes this junction. I took over there, I think, yeah. I took over there. It was a little bit sketchy. It probably would have managed itself. There's quite high curbs on the left-hand side as well, so I didn't want to scuff the wheels. And here we are. I'm going to just break the video for a second because I wanted to get a coffee for the road trip. So I'm just popping into the McDonald's. One thing to note, through the drive-through, the Model 3 is fantastic. It's just the right size for UK drive-throughs, whereas the Model S, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit tighter. The Model S is a lot longer vehicle. But yeah, for drive-throughs, the Model 3 is perfect. So back on the road now, and we're getting back onto the, I think this is the A453. No. I'm not going to say what road it is because I don't actually know. I do know, it's somewhere in my brain. That's where the car is fantastic. Getting up to speed and pulling onto a junction like that, you're straight up to the speed you want to be at. It's fantastic. Whereas usually I wouldn't be able to take up, I don't know why I put it in autopilot there, by the way. I don't know what I was thinking. Obviously, no point putting it on autopilot at a red light. So at this point, I was really excited to get it into autopilot. So at this point, it's 40 miles per hour. I was aware that there was a big roundabout coming up, and I thought, why not give it a go? So let's see what happens when I get to the roundabout. This is where the autopilot system for me is the one. So these are the journeys I'm looking forward to in the future with autopilot. So there was no vehicle ahead of me to slow me down at this point, and I just had to take over straight away. Now, it did actually go by itself into the curve, but once I noticed that the vehicle ahead of me wasn't slowing down either, it was going straight over, I knew that I'd have to take over. Now, this road here was absolutely wonderful to drive in Autopilot. I don't know why I was pointing at the screen then. There's something... Oh, that was it. So the car, at this point, it was limited to 40 miles per hour. And I don't know if it's a setting that I'd put on by mistake, but down here is 70. It might be going off the old speed limit. I did notice that the navigation system on some occasions has got the speed wrong, and I think it's just because it's going through GPS, and a lot of the roads around the UK do change quite often, so the speed limits do change as well. But this is where it's absolutely comfortable. It just sits there. And if you're happy to sit behind a lorry or something like that, the system's absolutely perfect. I wanted to get there a little bit quicker, so I won't be sitting behind any lorries today. But this is, if you're willing to, this is where it's absolutely perfect, and you can sit there all day and it'll drive you all day on roads like this. So it says apply, I think it says apply light pressure to the wheel. What it's looking for is like a slight turn. I thought it meant squeeze the wheel. It's actually like wants a little bit of weight on the wheel. And then the use the hand thing will go away. So at this point I've noticed that the left sensor, the left pillar sensor, is actually blocked, and that's I'm trying to use my hands because I didn't have any because I had a camera in my mouth. I was unable to say this, but I'm just trying to gesture that the sensor is now saying that it's blocked. So for the rest of the journey this will come on and off, and I didn't notice it affect too much. Now when we get to Spaghetti Junction, I was a little bit apprehensive using Autopilot, but I still did. But yeah, this is what I'd love to know what you guys would do in this situation. Would you continue to use Autopilot, or would you have backed off a little bit and just manually driven the vehicle? For me, the first drive was hard, the second drive was better, but by the third drive I feel so comfortable with it. And I feel like it is like a mobile phone. Like you get a brand new phone, you don't know how to use it, but after the third day, you're a wizard on it. So a road like this usually is very straight road, nice flow of traffic, and it doesn't require that much concentration usually. There's a few merging roads along here, but there's not that many. We're going past the power plant, Ratcliffe Power Plant on the right hand side, big coal burning plant. So quite ironic that we're driving through an electric vehicle. Hopefully all of the vehicles driving along here soon will be electric. I'm noticing a lot more Teslas driving along here. But yeah, obviously the power plant does supply the electricity for a lot of people's electric vehicles anyway. Hopefully we can get cleaner on that as well. But yeah, it's usually quite a boring long drive, and it requires your concentration. Obviously, if you're in a manual vehicle, one that's got no auto steer or auto pilot or anything like that, it's a bit of a boring road to do. It's a very long road. So when you're using autopilot in a situation like this is where it plays absolutely out fantastically. I get to the end of this road and I just feel like I haven't done any driving whatsoever, which is fantastic. And yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. As you can see, you might have been able to see on the left there was high water levels. So this is where there's a lot of flooding been happening. You can see it there as well. And at the moment, obviously, I had the rainfall damage the car. There's a lot of rainfall on the sides of these roads, and a lot of the areas are flooded. A lot of the farming fields are flooded with water as well. I saw a lot of flooding on the way down to Birmingham in this journey, and yeah, really interesting to see how badly some of these areas are affected. It seems that everybody by a river has been severely affected, and that was the case today. And all of the rivers were overflowing on this journey down there today. So we're coming up to the junction now, and this is where I really like Autopilot as well. You can trust that it's going to slow you down, and I love that. I think I've got it set to 2 car lengths, so I like a nice bit of distance between us and the vehicle in front, just to give me time if the system ever did fail, I'd have confidence. But so this is Autopilot's doing absolutely all of this, and this is where I love it. And this is where, if I tell passengers that I didn't touch the brake and I didn't touch the accelerator when we pulled off, this is where passengers are impressed the most. So it takes off on its own now, does all the accelerating itself. It's still doing all the turning. Now, I don't know. I can't remember if we got onto the motorway. So it's still all itself. It's still not taken over yet. I think it does pull onto the motorway itself, if I remember rightly. So there's a big left here. And it was a bit far over the right, and we've got a merging lane. But yeah, it did everything itself. Now, it went a bit slow. It put the speed limit as 40, and it slowed us down to 35. So at that point, I took over. There was a car behind me. I didn't want to hold him up, and I just put my foot down. And now we're on that road now. So I'm back filming again. And I'm pretending to drink coffee because I have a camera in my mouth, and I thought it'd look cool for the video. So that is me pretending to drink coffee. Don't know why I did it. I didn't drink any of the coffee until the camera was out of my mouth. So this is the fantastic point. You can just sit here and the car does everything for you. Like, if you can tell that I get slightly nervous when overtaking lorries, and my hands come quite quickly up to the wheel just to make sure that I'm okay going past it. Let's have a look how I feel on this one. Seems to be no problem. But like I say, it is that left pillar that's been blocked, and it will pop up a few more times that the pillar is blocked. And so overtaking vehicles, I was a little bit more nervous than I should have been, just because I didn't know what to expect with passing vehicles. So as you can see there, I was slightly nervous going past that lorry again. So if you set your steering wheel to the right height, the correct height, you can really relax with your hands on the wheel. Whereas I've not got it at the right height for myself to relax my hands on the wheel. So it's in a slightly awkward position for my hands, and that's why I keep letting go of the wheel to relax. My feet are completely away from the pedals at this point. And I know I could quickly react and stamp my foot down on the brake, but this is where you feel like you're just being driven. You're just sitting upright with your feet off the pedals, your hands almost relaxed on the wheel if you can get it relaxed on the wheel, and you feel like you're being driven by the car. And this is where it's absolutely fantastic, and the system just is unbelievable. And this is the game changer right here. This is where it changes the way you drive and the way you travel, and makes it so much more comfortable of a journey. One other great thing to peace of mind when doing a journey like this is knowing that you're never going over the speed limit. So in a car like this, you can quite easily put your foot down and be at 80 miles per hour. And the same with the Model S, yeah, it's even worse. You can easily be at 80, 90 miles per hour, and because it's so comfortable and quiet in the cabin, not realise you're going a bit too fast. So when you've got the autopilot on, there's a peace of mind knowing that you're not going to go over the speed limit. That's something I enjoy. I've got a clean license. I've always had a clean license, and I want to keep it that way. So it's sensing the car on the left-hand lane, and it slows us down to pass this vehicle, which I like as well. So when it gets into heavy traffic, it slows down a little bit to pass traffic, which again makes me feel more confident in the system that it's doing something a human would do. A human wouldn't bolt through passing traffic at 70, 80 miles an hour or the highest speed limit. They would give it a little slowdown just in case something did happen, and I really like that. Again, so we're passing this vehicle on this side. Confident again, even though that pillar's blocked up, I feel like I'm a lot more confident in the system. And there you go. I'm thinking someone was coming up behind me, so I just wanted to pull over just to let them past. So this isn't the same as normal. Usually I should be occupying that left-hand lane in 70 miles per hour. If there was 3 lanes, I would consider using the middle lane. Again, it's saying that sensor on the left-hand side is blocked up. So the car that was coming up behind me wasn't actually going that fast, so I probably could have sat there, but I did pull over, signaling him to overtake, and I think he was in a van, so he was struggling a little bit. There he goes. So when there's 2 lanes like this, obviously it's courtesy to pull over, but I would love to know what you guys do when you've got 3 or 4 lanes and you're doing 70 miles per hour. Do you pull into the slow lane for people who are right up your arse, or do you just let them sit there and let them pass on the outside lanes? I'm yet to experience someone pulling in the lane that I'm driving in from the left-hand side from a merging road, so I don't know what the system would do, if it would keep at the same speed or if it would dodge it. I don't know. That's when I think I would take over the system, just because I feel like if someone's trying to merge in, I'd either slow down to let them in, or I would speed up to let them fall in behind me. I'm not too sure what the system would do in that case. I think it would probably just keep a consistent 70 miles per hour. So that's probably where I'd take over the system. What has anyone experienced someone merging in the lane? What does the vehicle do? Does it stay at the same speed? If so, do you just sit there, or do you take over and just speed it up a little bit or slow it down a little bit? So I was just getting comfortable with the autopilot here. I'm basically sitting behind this oil tanker, and I think I decided to overtake it now at this point. Now I've engaged the system. Another thing that instills a lot of confidence in me when looking at the system compared to the Model S I've been driving the last few days is in the Model 3, the scanning of other vehicles is quite accurate. So if you go past a lorry, it looks like a lorry on the system. If you go past a motorbike, it looks like a motorbike. If you go past a bus or a coupe or a van, they look like the vehicles that they are. Whereas in the Model 3, the Model S so far, when I've been driving it in autopilot, it just scans it and it looks like another Tesla on the display. I might have the old the old system on that Model S at the moment, so I'm not too sure if that's the case. When I first got into the Model 3, I hated the screen. I absolutely hated the fact that I had to look down left to see the speed, and it really did throw me off a little bit. And it was one thing I disliked about the car, maybe for 2 hours. By 2 hours, I was used to it, and it's absolutely fine now. It makes no difference. But yeah, at the start, it was a little bit difficult getting used to it. So this is cut out. This is Spaghetti Junction here. So I'm coming up to Spaghetti Junction. It's pulled off by himself, and so this is all autopilot. This is absolutely baffling to me. So it slows down a little bit, but for the bend it slows down to 40, I think. Yep, and it goes around this bend all by itself, even with passing vehicles. And obviously, I was a little bit skeptical of whether it was going to pull this off, and then it speeds back up to 50. So now we was merging onto another road. I wanted to speed it up a little bit, but it would have done it itself. And now we're off Spaghetti Junction. It's done it all itself, and it's absolutely, to me, this was the most amazing point of the journey, where I was so confident in the system. Now, bearing in mind the left sensor is blocked, and it was pulling left round that bend. The reason that I only got the actual turn of Spaghetti Junction is because the cameras were off, and I'd completely forgot to be filming for when we arrived at Spaghetti Junction. But there you go. It handled it like an absolute trooper. It's still in. It was still in autopilot right here. I think I'd take over in a second because I'm in the wrong lane, or maybe I don't. But yeah, it absolutely had no problems whatsoever with Spaghetti Junction, and even with a vehicle on the outside, even with the speed limit change, and it adjusted the speed limit to go around the bend as well, it was unbelievable. And that's what is installing a lot of confidence in me, and that's what's making me excited for full self-driving in the future. When traffic's a little bit more built up like it is here, although the roads look empty right now, it's really comfortable to use. I don't know if you've noticed me signalling. It's raining now, quite heavy. There was a broken down car there. It had no problem getting around that, although I was grabbing the wheel. So the window wipers aren't working right now. They're not sensing the rain, and I was having a lot of issues, and I think this is where the problem occurred with. So I knew they're on full auto. They've had no problems all week, but after that rainfall and the water coming to the vehicle, I did have problems. So rain's hitting the windscreen, and the wipers aren't coming on. So that's me signaling, no, the wipers aren't coming on. So there is definitely some issues with the vehicle since the waterfall's come in. The waterfall, the water. It was like a waterfall at one point. I think I manually turned them on soon because it got a bit too bad. There you go, yeah. So I put them on at that point. And for the rest of the journey, they start to work again, I think. And I think it's just because I left them on. So we're in Birmingham now. Obviously, most of the journey is done, and for over 90% of the journey, I was in autopilot, and that's where the big difference is happening with my driving. Meaning, I only have to really concentrate for the last. Obviously, I'm concentrating for the whole journey, but it sort of relaxes your mind a lot, and I'm only really giving it my full concentration towards the end of the journey. And it just means that you turn up really fresh to the locations. Obviously, I'm just handing the vehicle over, so my functions were not required on this day, but it just feels nice to be fresh after a journey. And it just feels like you've done nothing. You've sort of nipped out, and it's pretty amazing. It's really going to be a big game changer for me. I'd love to know, what do you think in terms of your driving habits and your driving style? How has Autopilot benefited you so far? And this is the first standstill I've come to, so I'm just having a quick look around, seeing if I can show you the beautiful sunroof. Sunroof? Is it a sunroof? No. Panoramic roof. Glass roof. I am starting to really like the idea of not having to drive the car at all and leaving the car to do all the work for us. I'm starting to like the idea of being a passenger for once. So I feel like I had a taste of that on this journey, and we were both just basically sitting in the car, allowing the car to drive us. And I think that will be cool in the future. I know a lot of people love driving, and I do when I'm in the mood, especially with a Tesla, because it can be super fun. But to have a button to become a passenger is something I'm looking forward to with the full self-driving. It's a little bit like, what's that film with Will Smith in? Will Smith, where iRobot, and he takes it over manually. I think it warns him against taking it over manually. And I guess that's probably what it will turn out like at some point, because robots are smarter than humans. So for portions of the journey like this is where full self-driving, if they ever legalise it in the UK, hopefully they will, this is where full self-driving will be a similar game changer as Autopilot on the motorways. Just being able to sit back and allow it to move through slow, heavy built-up traffic will be absolutely amazing. I think we were going past the bull ring on the right in Birmingham. There's some work going on down there, so I was trying to have a look. I think I'd turn Autopilot on here just to give it a go. I'm pretty sure I'll take it back off in a second because we come to another standstill. But yeah, some cool architecture around here, some weird, wonderful buildings. I was trying to show you through the panoramic roof. There's a big bridge over the top. And then, yeah, I've taken it off it because I was going to end up in the back of that lorry if I stayed there. Thank you so much for the great response on the videos. I can't thank you enough. I can't thank the community enough, the Tesla community. Really, I really feel like a lot of people have got behind the videos. People are sharing the videos, which I think is amazing. People are subscribing and liking, and there's loads of people commenting on the videos and offering their support to other people and advice to me. So I really appreciate it. Like I said, if you want to see the last video of what happened to the car, go watch that video. It'll clear up this whole video, and you'll see what has happened to the vehicle. I will be keeping us updated with what's going on. So that's all the content is going to be on the Model S and how they repair and what the service is and what happens in the end with the Model 3. But for now, thank you so much for watching. And as always, thanks for tuning in.